Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to welcome a couple people that are in the audience that came to attend tonight and probably drove a little bit. Micah Black in the back. He's candidate for solicitor for out of Abbeville, right?
I live in Anderson.
You live in Anderson.
I work in Anderson.
Work in Abbeville, lives in Anderson. So he's running for solicitor. Mr. Don Mize, county councilman, sitting up here as a proxy for Seneca 1. Let's see, who else do I see? Yes, you. Grant Bagwell. He's upstate director for the DeSantis campaign. And do we have anybody else? I'm sorry, Grant. Do we have anybody else that I may have overlooked? So welcome everyone that's come. So it's been a while since our last meeting, which was on November 16th, and I feel like I'm getting sucker punched by it. I normally like to do icebreakers, but tonight I think I'm going to avoid that. But I would, if I was to do one, go around the room and ask everybody to tell what their maximum rate of family procreation is. Gee whiz, come on. That ought to be on the tip of your tongue. But I think since I'm getting a lot of stares, I'll spare even one of that. But I'll tell you what it is for our family. December 8th, we had a grandson born. On December 26th, we had a granddaughter born. And on January 15th, we had another grandson born. So that brings India and myself to a total of 6, and we're quickly headed towards a dirty dozen. So that's 3 in the last 38 days. So you guys do the calculations. We're probably in the lead on that one. And the last one was James Arthur Mann IV. So there's a new man in town. The world better watch out. So welcome to 2024. I can tell you just from our household, it's going to be a good year for Republicans. You guys didn't get that joke, and you'll tell me I'll keep later. So how about the Iowa caucuses? How does everybody feel about that? Is that a congratulations for President Donald Trump?
Yes.
Oh. So we still have the New Hampshire 23rd primaries, Nevada, South Carolina on the February 24th, right? And there are some candidates who are not backing down. Y'all see that right there?
No.
And then, yeah, never back down. There are some candidates who are not backing down. Is that right, Grant?
Yes, sir.
All right. And, hopefully, it looks like President Trump's going to cruise into the RNC convention with a nomination the way it looks right now. I mean, if I said anything else, y'all throw stuff at me. But hopefully, in February, some of those candidates are going to make their way through Oconee County. I feel pretty good about that, although we don't have any firm commitments yet. So we got a lot on the agenda tonight, so let's get rolling. I need to appoint a timer, Pat Murray. She's agreed to be our timer for tonight. So when we get to the point of discussion, debate, questions, Pat's going to be the timer. Let's see. Next thing, I think we'll move to roll call by precinct. So we're going to do things a little different tonight because we need to move through. So Terry has actually already worked through the sign-in sheets to determine our roll call. So Terry, our state.
I have a point of order on the roll call.
Oh, please state your name and stand up, please.
Dave Nix, Oklahoma precinct.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Nix.
I'm asking for a credentialing committee investigation on the Moores. Something my understanding is that they don't really live in the Dewey precinct, and they've sold their property to somebody. I don't know who. So all I'm doing is asking for an investigation. I don't know all the facts. I do have evidence that they've sold the property, and on the GIS it's sold. I've got a deed of sale.
Well, I'm not thinking we're taking an argument tonight, one way or the other. So is that investigation something that you want done by what point in time?
It's a motion to investigate.
Is that tonight then, or is it
No,
for this?
it's not tonight. A motion to investigate by the next meeting. For the credentialing committee to investigate that matter.
All right. So I have a motion on the floor. And We have a second from Mr. Wagner. All right. I really don't even want to get to discussion on this because we've got a lot of stuff to do.
Call for the question.
I'll call for it, yeah, I heard it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to have a vote. The motion on the floor is, state it again, please, Mr. Nix.
The motion on the floor is just to have the credentialing committee investigate Luke and Jennifer to see if they still live in Newry Precinct, because they don't appear to own any property in Newry Precinct.
Okay, so you do realize we don't even have a credentialing committee?
Okay, whoever's going to investigate it then.
Okay.
Whoever's the equivalent of your credentialing.
So the officers are to investigate? Does that suffice?
Sure.
Okay,
Point of information,
yes.
what is the investigation going to entail?
I think that's to be determined by the committee, Mr. Haney. Okay, thank you. All right,
Point of information is.
I think the question's been called. I should have said the same with Mr. Haney, I'm sorry, Mr. Bond. All right, the question's been called. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of Mr. Nick's motion, please raise your hand to indicate. Aye. Voting, please raise your hand and hold it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 in favor. 11 in favor? 11 in favor. Okay, all opposed to the motion to investigate the precinct assignment for the Moors, please raise your hand. Opposed? None opposed? Well, that either you are opposed or you're for. Or abstain. Okay, so I agree. You didn't let me get there. So how many are opposed? 4 are opposed. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5? Tony, Charlotte, 5 are opposed. How many abstain? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 abstain. Okay, so the motion carries. All right. Can I proceed? Thank you.
Jim, I have a point of inquiry before we go further. Are all the proxies valid for the people that are proxy here live, whether it's person to be a proxy?
Tony Adams. By voice of approval. Do you solemnly swear? Oakway District 4. Mr. Tate Rochester. I'm asking him because his EC is not here. Tate,
Yes, sir.
you have proxy Don. Don,
John.
you are Mountain Rest, correct? Okay. Tony, he's not here. He's proxy Bruce Taylor. Bruce, can you confirm that you are in Westminster 1 precinct, indeed?
That is correct.
Okay. Pat Palmer, he's not here, but he's proxy Don Mize. Don, can you confirm that your residence is in Seneca 1?
That's correct.
Okay, so I'm gonna, these gentlemen have given me honest answers. Okay, thank you. All right, so where were we? Roll call by precinct. Terry, you want to give us the results?
Yes, we have 26 precincts represented. There's 4 proxies in that number. There's myself as the executive committee woman, and the vice president also gets a vote, so there will be 28 votes.
So we do have quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. All right, we can move on. Adoption of the proposed agenda. I sent out an email earlier this week indicating the agenda would be modified to include discussion of 4 resolutions that went out on Monday, the 15th. Under 12, new business, I'm inserting the discussions of these 4 resolutions after 12B on the agenda. So if you look at 12B on the agenda, that's after candidate support Q&A. Okay, that's where they'll go in. The first one will be taken up. The first 2 are going to be the legislative resolutions. All right, the first one we'll take up is a question of South Carolina selection process for judges. The next one is the closed election closed election process. The next one will be my censure. And after that, we'll take up the question of restoring dignity to the OCRP. Any objections to that? Okay. In addition, I would like a motion to modify the special meeting rules for tonight, because we've got a lot on the table. I don't think any of us want to be here all night long. So, Rule 2, under special meeting rules, limit debate on any resolution is what I'd like to have a motion or discussion to 20 minutes and limit member comments to 1 minute. Rule 6 remains in effect. No change to Rule 6. I'm asking for a motion to change the rules such that we limit discussion and debate.
So moved.
Second?
Second? Okay. Any discussion on that motion that's on the floor? All right, is your motion to hold it at 20 minutes then, exactly as I said? Okay, hold each one at 20 minutes, which will be 10 for and 10 against, theoretically. All right, because everybody gets a minute. All right, hearing no more yes, Doug. Call the question? Okay. All in favor of modifying the special rules to limit discussion debate on each resolution to 20 minutes, please show your approval by raising your hand. In the opinion of the chair, I would say that's pretty much unanimous. So motion passes. Thank you. Okay. The next thing is the approval of the November 16th Executive Committee minutes. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes as written? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? I say it's pretty much unanimous. Any opposed? Okay. All right, the next thing is the chairman's report. And I'm going to refrain from a report tonight, but I am going to say something concerning my censure ahead of time. All right? Concerning my censure, when I opted to run for chairman, part of that decision being to abide by the state rules and county bylaws that govern this party. Beyond that, I have a higher line of accountability. However, that's all for nothing if I can't get the simple things right. It's clear that some of our members and precincts disapproved of statements that I made during an October 30th, 2023 podcast interview. So much so that they considered them to be a violation of our county bylaws and absent of conveying any positive image of the party. I accept the criticism and redirects that have come in, especially from those members who thought enough to immediately call me or meet with me following the podcast. Between October, the County Council Town Hall drama, and what I felt was a departure from the South Carolina Republican Party platform, trying to determine real taxpayer costs for a $25 million bond, and what I consider to be a lack of transparency, I got loose with my words and likely overstepped my boundaries as the official spokesman of this party. The bottom line is, if this executive committee determines that a censure is warranted, then I'll accept that. I'll apologize and I'll move on. The business of working together to win elections is what's most important, so we have to get past this hurdle and refocus our efforts on putting the Republicans, our Republicans, back in office in 2024. When the time comes to take up this question, I'll pass the gavel to the Vice Chair, Rachel Moore, and leave it in the hands of this committee to decide. If it comes to a vote, then that'll be conducted by secret ballot. Okay? All right. Executive Committee Woman's report. Thank you. Terry?
I'm just going to make it really short because we have a lot to go through tonight. But the representative for the Trump campaign was going to make it here tonight, but unfortunately was unable to do so. But I do have a bunch of Trump yard signs in the back, so please feel free to take one. And if we need to get more, please let me know, and I will make sure that I get some more. One question that I do have, in speaking with her, I'm trying very hard to get a surrogate here to speak to us. They wanted to, they're not giving me a number that I need to hit as far as the amount of people that we need to get in order to come, but I'm going to assume that it's gonna be at least a couple hundred. So what I'd like to do is throw out a couple dates and see if they can meet any of those. So I wanted to know if you guys had any suggestions at all as to the dates that I should be giving them. Are we looking to try to keep it on a Thursday? Are we looking to try to get a Saturday? I'm looking just for some feedback. So if anybody wants to throw something out right now, I'm cool with that.
Saturday.
Saturdays? Saturdays for everybody? Okay, I'll try to get a Saturday in there. And that's, I don't have too much more other than I did confirm with the state chairman that when we go for the presidential preference, there are going to be two questions that are going to be on that ballot. And first is going to be for judicial reform, and the second one is going to be for registering by party. So it is hugely important that we as Republicans get out there and not only to vote for president, but make sure that you answer those questions. Again, the chairman thinks that we have a good chance at getting these passed, especially in the House, but the Senate is going to be a little bit tougher. So again, by putting that on our presidential preference ballot, we can show the numbers for the support for these two pieces of legislation that really need to get passed. And that's just about it.
Thank you, Terry. Anybody have any questions for Terry?
There are actually three questions on the ballot. One more in addition to that.
Okay.
The other one pertains to the lawsuit for the division of liability and lawsuit. There will be three questions.
Thanks, Linda.
All right, thank you. David, treasurer's report?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Of course, December was a light month, and so on December the 1st, our bank account had $8,337.41. Again, December was light, everybody was gone. We pulled in $99.80 of revenue with sponsorships, donations, and such. We only had one expense, and that was to pay for the 6-month rental for our post office box at $113. And so we ended the month, December 31st, with $8,324.21. And we have got a budget prepared for 2024. I'm doing some tweaking on it. It'll be part of the February packet. It'll go out with the agenda and all that next month, and we'll be able to talk about that next month, the 24 budget. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. All right, hearing no questions, we'll move on to old business. So you could say A under 11 and then D under 12 may overlap here with regards to the Board of Elections and voter registration presentation that we got in the November meeting. But this relates to encouraging the county council to secure the elections office. So I would say that we hold off the discussion on that down to 12D, where it says formal county council communication, Homeland Security audit response to secure the Pine Street elections office. The intent of that is to have a vote on whether or not this committee would see fit to write a letter to the county council asking them to take whatever necessary steps. We don't know what those are because we don't know the details of the findings by the Homeland Security Office, but that would be to ask them to take whatever steps are necessary to upgrade the facility to meet the Homeland Security office audit. So if it's okay with this committee, we can postpone discussion until we get down to item 12D. Do I have a motion to postpone the discussion until 12? Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, so I'll call that unanimous. Moving on. Voter Engagement and Education Committee, chaired by Committee Terry Meyering. So we have an opportunity to improve voter engagement and education. I'm gonna let Terry stand up and tell you where she stands with those people who are involved in that. This was something that Mike was doing.
Yeah. So after spending 4 days with Doug and Sandy down in Myrtle Beach at the First in the South, we got a lot of information and a lot of education on everything. So Doug has agreed to co-chair this with me. So I'm looking for a few other people to help. And basically, it's going to be trying to schedule everything. Again, now that we've got Mr. Duncan is not going to run for re-election. I know that Richard Cash is making an announcement on Saturday. There's potential 2 other people that are going to run. So we need somebody who's going to coordinate with these different campaigns and try to bring as much information here as possible, and also to coordinate all the different things that we have going on between county council, also the state representative races, et cetera. So, and also state senator this year. So that's kind of going to be the one thing, is we're going to be trying to coordinate events. And then we're also, going to be, this year, what I really would like to have happen is to model what Anderson and Pickens did, and have questionnaires that actually go out to the different people that are running, have them answer that questionnaire, and have that also posted on our website so that they are available. Again, trying to get more information out to people rather than letting you hear a 2-minute stump speech from somebody or a 5-minute stump speech, and that's all that you get to make your decisions on. So if you're interested, my email is on this form. Just shoot me an email and let me know why you're interested. Okay.
Okay, no questions? Move on. New business. So most everybody knows that on the deadline for filing to run for office is March 16th. And so the purpose of this item on the agenda is really to identify those precincts, districts who already have a candidate that has announced or intends to announce, and whether or not they filed for office or not, they've got time to do it, right? So I would encourage every precinct to canvass and find out if they're interested in running for office. We need Republicans, we need strong Republicans in office. Mr. Palmer, welcome. So take the time. You guys know your landscape. Find out if there's somebody that's willing to put their name in the hat to run for office. And please encourage them to do so. I know we already have some that are in this room that have announced their candidacy. So, and also Micah Black, I guess he had to step out. Micah, is he still here? Or did he have to step out? He had to step out. So there's some kind of congressional delegation going on tonight that nobody knew about as well. That was a conflict, but nobody knew about it. Wasn't made known to the party, so he had to step out. But Micah, again, he's running for the solicitor's position currently held by Mr. Wagner. I know Beth Blundy's, she's also been before this committee. She's also running as well. And I think there's one other candidate. I don't know who that is. Does anybody know who that third candidate is running for Wagner? Yes? Okay. While Dave's looking that up, I think Gwen was the first one to make any kind of announcement. Gwen, would you like to stand up? And this is just, and only speeches, your speeches will happen at the next executive committee meeting. Just keep it short and sweet.
Well, first of all, I got this. I'm resigning as district director for District 5.
Thank you.
For state rules.
Thank you.
My name is Greg McPhail. I'm running for the county council seat number 5, District 5. First of all, let me please assure you that my middle name is not Dutton. So you don't let anybody convince you that I'm drastic in any way, shape, or form. I taught school here for 31 years. Everything from science, middle school science, ag science, food science, and and livestock production. So yes, my heart is in farming, but I love horses and Native American pottery, so, but I'm running and I have a heart for Oak County for sure.
All right. Do we have anybody else?
Danny Fulmer is the other guy that I'm listed.
Danny Fulmer, where is he out of? Do you know? All right, is that Anderson too? Danny Fulmer.
Tommy James was around, so he's gonna run for district board. So I talked to him yesterday, and he had a birthday party for his granddaughter, I believe, what he told me, so I'll try to have him here next week.
Okay. Tommy James, running for District 4, he's the president, correct? Okay. Anybody else? Ms. Lancaster, you'd like to step up, stand up, or stand on the chair?
How about coming up there? My name's India Lancaster. Most of you guys know me, but I wanted to throw out that for a lot of our guests tonight, and I wanted to officially announce tonight with you that I am running for District 2, Oconee County Representative. It's been laid on my heart, and I've had several people reach out to me and ask me to do this, and I'm going for it. So I just have one thing I want to say. The work preparing to represent District 2 and Oconee County has been daunting. And we stand at a crossroads, guys. We stand at a crossroads where we need transparency and less government. And I am that representative, and I will be that representative. And I ask for y'all's support in any way you can help me. I brought sign-up sheets, and I look forward to this race.
Thank you. And it's probably appropriate, the next thing on the agenda, if there's no one else, anybody else have this? Yes. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elspeth Murray, and nobody here will know my name yet. I had hoped to get introduced more gradually, but hopefully that'll happen over time. I'm going to be running for Jeff's seat this fall, and I did decide that prior to yesterday. So hopefully you'll be seeing me around a lot more. Again, I'm Elspeth Murray, and I hope to get to know you all.
Jeff Duncan's congressional seat, is that correct?
Big pardon?
Jeff Duncan's congressional
House of
seat.
Representatives.
Okay, thank you. Terry, will you get with her and make sure we get her contact information after the meeting? All right, anyone else? Okay, hearing none other, we're going to talk a little bit about candidate support for Q&A. All right, so I'm sure on everybody's mind, maybe how is the chairman going to be impartial when his wife is running for the District 2 County Council position? Anybody not thinking about that? So I was not the one who asked India to run. I was the one who told her no, and she said, you can beg, but don't tell me no. And that was on Friday, 2 weeks ago, when she was holding the grandbaby. So I'm going to put it to you like this. I'm going to abide by the bylaws that we have in place. The analogy is, when the boys were growing up, they played basketball. They were pretty good. I was coaching. Came time for all-stars and most valuable player and those kind of things. And you know, even if everybody in the community knows who's the best player in Walhalla Rec, if you're the coach of that best player and you try and put him up for the all-star team, somebody's going to be upset and call foul. All right, but I'm going to do the best job I can to still keep peace at home and keep this body happy here. Okay, so I will not be involved in India's campaign. That's why she's asking for support. Now, if she asks me a question in the middle of the night, I might have to give her some advice or get kicked out of the bed. All right, but because she does have a tendency to wake up in the middle of the night with a question on her head or two. But I will do the very best I can to abide by the bylaws of this party, okay? She put me in a no-win situation, but that's not the first time that that's happened, okay? That's the elephant in the room, if you will, and not just a Republican elephant in the room. Can you hear me?
The microphone is, yeah. Can you make that?
Did anybody miss that that point of communication? All right, that better, I'll speak up. Okay, any other questions? I'm sure there are candidate support. What's the limitations? What can I do? What can I do? Yes, Mr. Palmer. I'm sorry, Mr. Wagner.
Close enough. And the bylaws are pretty clear on this, but as executive committee members in contested primaries, we are going to have favored candidates. Are there limits on what we can do as EC people?
By our bylaws, first I'll answer that question, thank you. By the state rules, there is no violation of support at any level, okay? In fact, you'll see some other counties, I'll use Anderson, for example, they're very active on who they support. Their bylaws do not prevent from support. Their bylaws say they have to be impartial, okay? For the county, for us, our bylaws specifically say that the officer, myself, Terry, I believe, if you want to pull the bylaw out and look at it, we can. David, you probably know it by heart. Candidate support rule or bylaw 7E, OCRP officers and directors. All right, this is why Gwen resigned. Will not support candidates during contested primary elections other than individuals without reference to their position in the OCRP. The OCRP will support all Republican candidates during general elections. All right, you could argue, what is a contested election? Okay. At this point, we could argue, is the presidential primary a contested primary? Almost, you know, because Trump looks like he's cruising, you know, and there's no doubt about it. But I think we're also supposed to, according to the state rule 2, substantially abide by these rules so that there is no question. So as far as us officers and you in a director's position, I believe the bylaw would say we cannot support any one candidate. If you're a precinct officer, you don't hold a position above the precinct level. I don't interpret the rules to say you cannot do that. All right, now we can put that to the floor for discussion. But that's the way I interpret it. Okay.
So,
Lillian Lutz.
Lillian, Fred, Lillian Lutz. So, if somebody is an officer, they could, I'm not talking about priests, I'm talking about the director or like Gary. I mean, you couldn't door knock for somebody to just not identify yourself as an officer, just a citizen in the, you know, in the precinct. You don't identify yourself as that.
It says other than individuals without reference to their position in the OCRP.
Okay.
So if you are not referencing your position in the OCRP and you're knocking on a door and nobody knows you from Adam, except you're supporting this candidate, I don't view that as a violation.
What do you mean if they don't know you, like my neighbor? My neighbors know me.
Well, they don't know you hold a position in the party, but
Okay.
your position is still only one of.
But I'm just talking about others.
Okay, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
be specific.
Yeah, I won't be knocking doors for India if that's a question. Because
As long as you don't identify yourself.
I have visibility, I won't be knocking doors for India either way.
As long as you don't identify what.
Right, right.
You just say because of the issues or whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Vaughn?
So when we, as the committee, discussed the bylaws before we brought them out, that was a source of contention the year previous with the chairman stepping out on social media and making speeches for a candidate, and this group was upset. So when we discussed that, and Mr. Wagner, you remember, we discussed that, we wanted to make sure that that bylaw was ambiguous enough that people had some freedoms, but also it would stop, it would give us a guideline. So when, if you read that again, Jim, it says that you can participate as long as you don't put that caveat, I'm the chairman of the party. That's what it says. If we go and we talk about being our EC's director, we decided in that group that we probably weren't the top tier that would not want to support them. So that was where we put, the intent in those bylaws. Am I right, Mr. Wagner?
Okay. Does that answer or kind of make things clear in everybody's mind?
No.
No.
You're public.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, you're public, everybody knows who you are.
Right.
You can't, just because you don't say it, everybody knows.
Ms. Moore, there'll be time for public comments later. I'm not trying to cut you off. So-
Sorry, just to be clear, the discussion at this point is just only open to the presidents and the QCs.
You still gotta have common sense.
Point of information.
Yes, Bruce.
So if a candidate is running currently this election cycle, did not fill a Form 1 out, are they still a member of the Republican Party? And just because they put R behind their name, if they didn't register at the reorg, does that not qualify them as Republican? But if not, then it doesn't matter, does it?
That's a sticky point. Mr. Krieger is the president of, and he's part of.
To answer that question is you can be a member of the Republican Party. You have no voting rights at any level until you fill out a Form 1. You can participate in every way
I guess I should
with
clarify.
all party events, but until you fill out a Form 1, you can't vote for precinct officers, county officers, you can't do any of that. Does that sound right?
I guess when you run as Republican, you just fill out Form 1.
Jody Gollick can run the Republic.
Okay. That's what I wanna know.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, but you think this is because I had to finish the question about the bylaw, whether or not officers can support candidates. It is very distasteful if the top tier were to support people outside of the primary. So please refrain from doing that.
Yeah, and my question was only for DC.
Okay.
I agree
Understood.
with
All right, thank you.
the officers.
I hope that clarified some things. Yes, Terry?
So just going back to what the two of you were saying, because I think that you said it, but if you did, you said it in a kind of a weird worded way. So are you saying that executive committee men can go ahead and use their title?
We shouldn't. We should not do that, but the bylaw doesn't state that.
Is it implied?
So it should be implied that during the primaries, the party's not supporting one way or another. So, even, there's ethics things in other parts of the government, like county council. You shouldn't get a newsletter from a county councilman that is publicly endorsing a candidate at all. That shouldn't happen, especially as intense as these elections are going to be going forward. So yeah, you shouldn't use your title when you're door knocking, but you should probably still be able to door knock and help folks.
Got a point on that. So that means people shouldn't be taking pictures with two county councilors, who be taking pictures with the county council that was running either. So that works both ways.
Okay, I think we're talking specifically, Mr. Nix, about candidates for at this level here.
Correct.
Not county council.
Well,
Okay.
he brought that up.
I'm saying we don't need to argue about that.
So the rule you're talking about, is that
Mr.
good?
Meyer, what,
Is that rule
that's a bylaw. It's not a rule.
bylaw?
It's a bylaw.
Is that extended to social media also? It's no good.
That was a big point of controversy last year as well.
And it needs to be.
So, that's a big point of controversy as well. So if that Facebook page is your personal Facebook page, but everybody knows because you've been in the paper, you've been in the public arena, that you are the chairman or you are the vice chairman, then probably you should refrain from endorsing a candidate.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm president
Yes,
of South Union.
President, yes. No, wait.
How can you discriminate that? That doesn't, I understand probably ethically that would, but we really need to find a line on that, of what the ruling.
Okay, so I really don't want to get into interpreting the bylaws tonight, but I understand what you're saying. Could we table this for the next meeting?
If I may speak.
Mr. Nix?
This may help your point. So, the bylaw is actually going to come into question when we discuss the resolution for Mr. Mann's signature. The specifics of that bylaw. So, it'll be discussed that, how it applies. It really is written to apply to the senior management, these guys up here in the district. It's not written to apply to the executive committee. We're precinct officers, we're not county officers. So that will all be clear if you guys will give us a little time and we'll get into the resolutions.
Okay. So if there are no more questions, can we proceed to the resolution? All right. So the first resolution we're going to take up under item 12 is the selection process for judges. And we're going to start the timer for overall 20 minutes. We're going to probably take 10 points on either side, which is going to be 20 minutes. Everybody has a minute to discuss. So the first one would be who is for the resolution as written. Can I, Mr. Nix, are you speaking for the resolution as written?
Yes, sir. I'd like to speak for the resolution and also like to use the TV to show this. If I can have 8 or 10 minutes, I can go through the resolution and actually show you guys what we do in South Carolina and Virginia, and then what the other states do, and why the resolution is written simply the way it is.
I think
have somebody yield the floor to me.
according to the rules, though, that we agreed to, we didn't talk about 8 to 10 minutes. It was 1 minute per and 1 minute.
I yield my time to him.
You don't, it's only one person per precinct that can.
I would ask that the executive committee I would ask the executive committee to yield their time to me so that I could discuss the resolution.
Okay, so
All I need to do is.
that would be however many executive committeemen there are, would yield their time. I'm trying to understand what
I'm
you're.
withdrawing my motion, let's just discuss it.
Okay, motion to go. Okay, so do you want to speak for the resolution, or?
Yes, I do want to speak for the resolution.
Okay, Mr. Nick, please.
So, when we wrote this resolution, I guess everybody's read it, correct? Has everybody read it?
Oh, I have a question. You take one
Timer,
Yes.
1 minute from start right now.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure when you start. Okay.
So has everybody read the resolution? So basically, the whereas I think are pretty clear. I think there was some discussion on be it resolved portion. I know Mrs. Moore had told me that there may be bills back on the floor, a bill or bills. The latest research that I did, that there were no bills on the floor. That may have changed. If you look at the bottom of that resolution, there's a place called ballotpedia.org, legislative election of judges. It actually lays out what the different states do. And all this resolution is asking is, it's not asking for details. It's just saying, hey, go put these examples back on the floor, or some of them, and start discussing this and get that moving.
1 minute is up.
Time. Thank you.
Pat, did you move up to the front so close?
Yeah, that might be helpful.
Pat,
Will you let us?
okay, Dave's here. So, all right, so the way the yielding of the time goes, you still have to take 1 minute for, 1 minute against. And you can yield your time back to him, Steve, at that point if it's an agreement. Okay, this is against the resolution?
Yes, sir.
Doug, you say?
Rich, we got a chair. I'm gonna need.
He's already there now. Let's go.
Thank you, Pat. Dave, you go ahead. Are you okay? All right, resume. Mr. Musick from Stamp Creek.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fully in favor of judicial reform. However, I'm against this resolution being the fact that there are multiple bills in both the House and the Senate to cover this right now. Making a resolution out of here would just go up to the resolution committee in Columbia, and then go to the state executive council, and then go to Drew McKissick, and all we're doing is virtue signaling. A much better way of doing this is start a phone call and writing to our representatives to get this thing pushed through. I got on the web today and looked, and neither one of our representatives or a senator is a co-sponsor of this bill. That's where we need to put. They get 500 phone calls, and you're going to get a lot more done than sending a virtual resolution out.
Thank you, Mr. Music. All right, we need a second for the resolution, to argue for the resolution. Mr. Yes, Donnie, before we do that, I want to make sure there's nobody else, though, that wants to argue for it. Nobody else, I'm fine with that. You're for? Yes.
I'd like to offer an amendment. The second part of the be it resolved says, including but not limited to the examples below listed. I'm not liking the idea of including but not limited to, because what are we actually saying we support? I'm not for or against this, but I would like to strike the words but not limited to.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the resolution as written, to strike the words not limited to.
But
not limited to. Second. All right, I have a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I'm sorry. Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the change to the resolution as recommended by Mr. Wagner from Senate 2. All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 are in favor. We don't need to take the nays. That motion carries. Okay, so now we're back to the original approval of this resolution as amended. Okay, so that was really a point of amendment. So now we're back to who is for this and would like to speak. And Donnie, you're going to give your time. All right, he's yielding this time to Mr. Nix. Mr. Nix.
So all this resolution does is it says basically, we don't like what we've got now. Go take a look and change to a different method. There's other methods out there. If you go to ballotpedia.org, legislative election of judges, it actually lays out state by state the grouping of states under each type. You've got governor assisted, you've got governor pick, you've got legislative assisted, you've got legislative pick, and then you've got committee pick. There's several different ones, and all this is saying is go look at that and pick one besides what South Carolina or Virginia has. And I think all this is doing is encouraging Columbia to go do that. I'm actually curious about Mr. Music about what legislation is actually on the floor at this point, because I didn't see any, but it could have happened recently if I've written this.
Okay. Time. All right, we have an argument against.
Well, all right.
I saw Mr. Kruger's president.
Stamp Creek.
Stamp Creek in the back.
Okay, this is more, I am against this resolution, but it's more or less background information. There is Senate Resolution 476 and House Resolution 3529. They're both in committee right now. And the resolution resolves that judges should be appointed by the governor with the consent of the Senate. They also want to repeal the judicial merit screening, which is the process we have now, which would only make sense if you appoint by the governor and then consent of the Senate. So there's already legislation in front of our House and Senate, and I suggest the email, telephoning.
Time's up. I'm remiss because I should have allowed Mr. Clement to speak earlier because we weren't in a voting mode at that time. Mr. Clement, you have something to say?
Yes. So as you're saying, make phone calls, make phone calls. There's no reason that we can't take both paths. That this group here can go and make this resolution go forward and show our support for it. And at the same time, it's our responsibility, each as an individual voter in this state, to express our feelings individually via a phone call. There's no reason that we can't go both. And that right there, you just need to stop that. We need to come together and pass this forward just as it is. And with the amendment that we just passed a while ago, we're just trying to say, hey, we don't like what we do. This is us and Virginia are the only two states in the United States that do this. If we want to sit down and come up with something that we support, then so be it. We do that. But otherwise, we pass it to them and say, hey, y'all look at this, see what other states do if we can come up with something better.
Thank you, Mr. Clement. Okay. Do I have a argument against? That, yes, sir. Mr. Bond, Long Creek.
So I agree with Mr. Music and Mr. Kruger that stuff's already in motion, and it'd be better served to go forward with emails and phone calls. But really, this group needs a defined resolution process so that we know when we're coming up with these resolutions, we're not reinventing the wheel, something that's already been done. So that's my piece.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bond. All right, anything else? Any other discussion? Call for the question. Do I have a second to call for the question? Second. All in favor of calling for the question? Raise your hand, please. All right, I'm going to say that's more than required. Okay, all in favor of passing this resolution as amended per Mr. Wagner from Seneca 2, please raise your hand. Favor of passing the resolution. Raise them high so I can count, please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 in favor. All opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 are opposed. Okay, the resolution fails. Okay. I would end that discussion by saying every one of the members on this executive committee ought to call according to your own convictions. If you have legislators, congressmen, call them and please make your voices heard. All right?
One information, I think.
Okay, Ms.
That is also a question on the upcoming presidential preference, is should we change the way we look for judges? My guess would be that they're holding off until they get the results of this in February, and then that'll be the time to get on forward with phone calls, letters, emails, everything you can do personally, talking with them. But I imagine this is going to make a big deal. So everybody needs to know that yes, that, and then they'll know that it matters. That's the best thing I can do.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, moving on, the second, yes, Mr. Soper from Bagland.
Point of order here. Was it the intention of this group that all of these resolutions would be passed to the state resolution committee who would then vote yes or no, and then it go to the state executive committee? That's going to be the process for all four of these?
Not all four of them, two of them. The first two, they would go to the state resolutions committee. Yes, sir. The other two, yeah, the other two pertain only to county business. Yes. Any other questions before we move on? All right, moving on to number 2. We'll take up the question of South Carolina closed election process. Everybody have that resolution sent out? All right. So we'll start with argument for the resolution. South Carolina closed election process. Who would like to speak on behalf of that resolution? Mr. Nix, did you author these resolutions? Go ahead, Mr. Nix.
I don't think there's a whole lot to say on this other than what's written, but, I'm in favor of closed primaries. Now, as far as the process, yeah, I agree, the process is gonna be a little bit complicated. We had closed primaries back in North Carolina when I was younger, and I was registered Republican right after graduating college, had a card, and they knew who was Republican and who wasn't. And if you were a Republican, you could vote in a Republican primary, right, and it was the same for Democrats. So, I think that's the way to go. I think that keeps Democrats from crossing over and interfering with our primary elections. We know it's gonna happen this cycle. And, we need to do something about it. We need to express it to the Columbia that we want to move in the direction of closed primaries by hook or through it.
Thank you, Mr. Nix. This one has been batted around in the General Assembly for almost 20 years. So, all right, before I recognize anybody, I'm going to ask one of our senior members if he wants to speak, because he usually has something to say on this topic. Mr. White?
Yeah, I was going to raise my hand anyway. This is on the surface a no-brainer, but I moved here in 1976, and Democrats ran everything. And to vote in a Republican primary would have been a useless, wasted vote. To vote in the Democrat primary, I at least had some say in who would represent me. And we're in the same situation today, except independents and Democrats are not going to win anything. Republicans are going to win South Carolina. Republicans are going to win Oconee County. That's just a fact of life. So if you're a Democrat, if you're an independent, you've got two choices. Either your vote means nothing, register as Republican. And if you think you've got a rhino problem now, just wait until a bunch of people realize that the only way they can have a say is to register Republican. So I'm against this.
Okay. So we have one for it?
I'm indifferent. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
And hopefully the group can.
This is a point of information or?
Point of information. If we close the primaries in South Carolina, what will that get, what responsibilities will then fall on the county parties to involve themselves in the primary process? Right now, there's not anything we do, but would we have to man polling stations? What would be the outcome of this resolution? What would the result be for us? What would we have to do in order to?
Good point of information. Yes.
I've got some answers.
Okay, Mr. Music.
There are several bills, again, in both the House and the Senate on this. Some of them are really bad, in that what they only want to do is, if you have to be registered as a Republican to vote in the Republican primary, or a Democrat for the Democrat primary, and independents can't vote at all in some of them. That's not good, all right? Most states, I left Georgia, and the way they did it is he showed up, and if you're registered as a Republican, you could only vote for Republican. If you're registered as a Democrat, you only vote for Democrat. If you're registered as an independent, you can vote either, but only one time. That's not how all the bills read.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We have an argument for, another argument for. I couldn't tell. Carl, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I was just saying, my personal experience was in Texas. In Texas, you registered with a party that you went to the polling place at a primary. Or a primary, and you say, Republican or I'm a Democrat, you've got different ballots. It's very straightforward. I don't see the problem with that. It really, where I was, it was open. I don't think it was overwhelming here, but it was very definitely a Republican majority. But you had a welcome desk or a sign-up desk. And we had one for the Republicans, one for the Democrats.
Okay, thank you. Do I have another Ms. Love?
Again, following up on what Doug said before, because there's one bill in the Senate, 5 or 6 in the House, I think. They're all in committee, they're all in the Judiciary Committee. I just feel like a resolution is just kind of, recast that. What we need to do is determine which one of these bills is the best one. 2 that I researched do have the support of the Freedom Caucus. I mean, personally, that would make me feel like that those are probably the better bills from my perspective. What we need to do is to call the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and tell him to get that bill out on the floor, it can be debated, and it can come to a vote. I will also tell you, on the ballot, they put this watered-down question: should South Carolina law be changed to give people the right to register to vote with the political party of their choice? That's kind of, it's not really, that is on the ballot.
Ambiguous. You gotta do that. Okay.
Point of information.
Point of information,
Linda,
Terry?
what was the bill numbers that the Freedom Caucus recommended?
H3161, and a couple of them, Magnuson is on H3472, and also H3685. But usually what happens in Judiciary, they'll combine all those bills. We just have to be sure what comes out is what we want.
Is 3685 the one that Brandon Newton offered?
No. I think that was 369. I'm not positive.
Okay, but they're all in the House, right? Nothing.
Yeah, there's one in the Senate, and they have been sitting in committee for a year. So we just need it out of committee.
So call Senator Alexander and tell him to get a hold of the committee chair and do something about it. Call Sanford, call Whitmire, and tell them to push.
I imagine they're waiting on the outcome of this ballot to see which way the wind's blowing, or they do it.
All right, I think I, yes.
In my research on this thing, I found that Senator is co-sponsoring one of the bills. The bill he's co-sponsoring got all independents. And I don't think that would even be legal because you're denying people the right to vote.
In the primary. Okay.
Yeah, I had a question.
Recognize Mr. Clement in the back.
I just wanted to give a direct answer to Mr. Lyons, because it seems like no one's really. So in Texas, I've had experience with family members that have been part of the election office locally, and the election office handles all the primaries, Democrat, Republican. Just like it was stated, when you go there, you just show them that you're a registered Republican, you'll be given a ballot for that, but it's ran all by the same office.
So what, if I can ask a follow-on question, what causes you to be a registered Republican? Is that?
You actually physically have to send in and register. It's not being part of this group here, but you physically
So it
register
has
with it.
absolutely nothing to do with the party, it's just still the personal choice of the individual.
Yes.
So really, you can change your mind. And you can be a Democrat.
But there is a time period you have up to close to the election that you can't change at that point.
All right. Chair recognizes Lynn.
Well, my question was to the gentleman from Texas. He said that he went and he voted and he either got a Democratic ballot or a Republican ballot. Was there an independent ballot, or did you have to claim one or the other? And how did they do it?
I only saw a Democrat or a Democrat. I always saw a Republican.
So when they walked up to the table, if they weren't one of those two things, there was not.
When at the time you registered, basically I registered when I moved in, you declared your party affiliation, you were free to change.
That's why I was just going to give the answer that he just gave. When you registered to vote, you got to choose which party. Then you could choose. You could be unregistered. You could choose independent. You could choose Republican. You could choose Democrat. You could choose Green Party. You could choose whatever party that you wanted at the time that you registered.
Okay.
No one's like your own front.
Chair recognizes Donnie.
Yeah, as long as the military service was in Georgia, and my recollection, I stated earlier, there's almost like 3 ballots when you voted. You can declare a Republican ticket, you can declare a Democratic ticket, or you would be an independent. I don't think they use that word at the time. Maybe it's not declared or something like that, and it would be all candidates.
So you didn't want to go, and some of the times are pretty big, you know, a lot of people choose to. But you didn't want, you knew you weren't gonna vote, if you're Republican, I'm pretty sure nobody in here's voting for a Democrat. You don't really need the ticket that has all the Democrat names on it. That's what I remember Georgia, how they have.
Thank you, Don. Chair recognizes Bruce.
Make a motion, call the question.
I have a motion on the floor, call the question, I have a second. Second. Any discussion? Or Ms. Meyer?
I'd like to make a motion to table this resolution
I
until.
already have a motion on the floor. So I already have a motion on the floor in a second. No hearing, no discussion, we got to vote on that. Is that correct? Sorry? That's correct. All right, so all in favor of, wait, we got to vote on calling the question. All in favor of calling the question, please raise your hand. Aye. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20, that's the majority. We're going to call the question and vote on this resolution as written. No change. Okay, all in favor of passing this resolution to this executive committee onto the state resolutions committee, please raise your hand. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. Okay. All opposed? So moving this resolution forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Motion carries. It's going forward. Resolution passes. Okay. The next question is of my censure. Rachel. Rachel's going to preside over this question, discussion, and debate. And I'm going to step outside and get left card.
Can I go with you?
Bruce says get on the microphone.
Can y'all hear me? Can you? Okay. Okay. So before we start this conversation, I would like to remind everybody of the rules of this meeting, which are down at the bottom of your agenda. Please remember that we will maintain civility here, and if anyone gets out of line, I will call for one not to stop, and if it happens again, then the person who is out of order will be asked to leave the meeting. So please, let's keep this civil and calm, please, because I don't want anybody to have it. So, everyone has read the censure document. So let's begin by having anyone want to speak on behalf of the censure.
Point of order. I think that it would be appropriate that if Walhalla 2 recused themselves from this, being the relationship that they have. I think it's only ethical and only fair that she recused herself. If she did have somebody else from Walhalla 2 that's here, I think that the committee should allow them to step forward just for this.
I would be willing to step out. I don't have a problem with that, but I would think the OCC would have to step out once they're asked to be censored. So, do they get a voice in their censor?
That wasn't a censure. That was put forward. That was an actual trying to kick
If
people
they don't
out of the party.
mind exiting on theirs, I don't mind exiting on Jim's.
What?
Fair's fair.
We're not married to those, he said.
Yeah.
We don't sleep with them.
I'm the president of OCC. If you'd like me to step out, I would be more than happy. Yeah, but you're not voting. Ms. Myron?
I'd like to make a motion that we take a vote on whether or not India Lancaster should be allowed to vote.
Discussion? For? Or against? Then, do I have a motion to call for the vote? Thank you. All in favor of India Lancaster stepping out during this? Raise your hand, please. All against? Do you have 16, Kathy?
No, I thought I said 14. You were counting and I'm trying to count and my head's getting messed up.
Oh, there are two sitting next to you as
And I
well.
did. Okay, all right. 16?
16 against, 9 for. Ms. Lancaster will stay. So, is there anyone who wants to speak on behalf of this censure? Mr. Nix?
Make a motion that NECs yield the floor to me that are OCC favorable and that I play the videos on
That, yeah, because that could take up the whole 20 minutes, which doesn't, which, yes, Mr. Wagner.
You've allowed 10 minutes for the OCC side. If none of them object, I don't see a problem using the whole 10 minutes on the video.
Okay.
But then they can't speak after that.
Mr. Turner?
Yeah, so the precedent was set earlier that it was a minute for, a minute against in the previous rules, and I see no reason to deviate from that at this point in time.
point of order.
Yes.
Mr. Mann also said that it could be 10 minutes for and 10 minutes against, and we could combine the 10 minutes, the 1 minute altogether for a total of 10 minutes.
Did he say that?
I didn't understand.
I didn't.
Parliamentary procedure allows you to deal with
No, Kathy's taking a minute. Kathy, is that correct? That Mr. Mann said we could combine the 10 minutes could be combined?
I have to go back through the score to be honest.
I'd like to make a motion that the OCC have 10 minutes to show their video and that the other side have 10 minutes divided up any way they want.
Are they gonna break, once they're done?
Yes, that's the motion.
Okay.
So does the OCC get to use their 10 minutes any way they see fit?
Mr. Burrow?
Is that the motion?
Are we abiding by the special meeting rules for discussion and debate?
Yes.
What we're going back to. All right, it says only members may participate, and it says all members must be recognized speaking and will have a 2-minute time limit.
When we said 1 minute.
All right, 1 minute.
1 minute, that is correct.
Is that what we're abiding by?
The amended, yes. It was amended. Yeah, we voted to amend it to 1 minute.
You want to amend it more?
Well,
Yeah.
Ms. Lusk?
Weren't all of those videos sent to us in the agenda, we've all already seen them? So it's just repeating something we've already seen, we've already made a judgment on.
Madam Chairman, you've got a motion on the floor. And a second.
Where, now?
To go 10-10.
Oh, yes, thank you. So,
I didn't hear what you said, so I don't know if you interrupted the process.
You have a motion and a second. We have 10 and 2.
so, all in favor,
Have discussion.
Yes.
Again, the discussion.
Four.
You can have discussion on the motion.
Yes.
We want to discuss, I want to discuss the motion.
Mr. Soper.
I would like to see the 10 people stand up who are going to give up their time. Before we say they can have 10 minutes, where are the 10 people?
Okay. We got 9.
So it's 9 to 11.
If you only need 5 and you yield 10, are you gonna take 5 minutes to show the video and then 4 minutes to discuss? Or are you asking for all that time to be yielded just to show us the videos? I think Jim has not disputed the videos, everybody's watched the videos, so are you going to show the videos and then let people talk the other minutes? Or?
Madam Chair, no labor beside me. I think if I'm interpreting what Mr. Wagner said, he said we're gonna allot 10 minutes for and 10 minutes against. So I think whoever's for has that 10 minutes. If they use the videos and it takes that 10 minutes.
If everybody agrees that
Correct, I think that's.
to yield, yes.
I believe that's the most on the board. Yes,
If
sir.
it's 5 minutes, then you just need 5 people to yield their time and you show this.
I call a question on the motion. Call a vote.
So, all,
I second it, just call the question.
thank you. All in,
Wait, just, Mr. Bond, second motion just for her to catch up.
I call the question. Mr. Wagner made the motion. Ms. Moore seconded. I call the question. Bruce seconded.
I'm sorry, this is.
so. Vote? Vote? Okay. All in favor of the 10 minutes and the 10 minutes, please raise your hand. Okay, that's the majority. Thank you. Okay. So,
The video should be timed.
Make sure the volume. Rick, can you help him with this? I got it. Let's go. Here we are.
Make a motion to call for a 2-minute recess while he's setting up.
no, time has started, sorry.
Time has started? Yeah, no, that's not fair.
You still have to honor the call for the motion. We have a second to the motion.
He said the videos were.
I just asked for a 2-minute recess and we have a second. A motion for a 2-minute recess and we have a second.
If it's more than 2 minutes, then there's a problem.
More than 2 minutes is a problem.
On your left was the Cumberland County Republican Party chair, on the right was your Democratic Party chair.
At large people.
Yeah, that one.
They have at large. One for each district, plus I think two at large.
So I would prefer to say that the county council is not being run by Republicans, but we're being run by special interests. Right now. Special interest group is running the county council and making decisions. And, it's important for the Republican Party and the Democratic Party to take care of that the next election cycle.
Let me ask you.
When he switched over, and those people that,
Tony's rating.
those people who are in the Republican Party right now are not real Republicans. They use, they use what happened with Donald Trump in 2020 to seize the moment and gain power. That's all they're after is power.
I fully agree with that. They ran as Republicans.
If I could kick them out of the party, Cody, I would, and I've read the rules back and forth.
I know.
If I could kick them out, would you take them?
No, thank you.
Talking about conservatives.
The OCC really has more members amongst its board of directors and officers than they have in the rest of the balance of the organization. So, I've talked to Drew McKissick personally as recently as last Thursday. Drew, there's gotta be a way. These guys, they formed their own LLC, which you can't do as a party organization. They formed their own LLC. They call themselves the Political Action Committee on their own website. They've got a board of directors. They've got officers. And they've got their own platform. Can't we just get rid of them? Unfortunately, no. But that's going to be a topic for discussion at the next convention. I believe, I guarantee you that rules changes are forthcoming.
You know, can't you kick them out?
Kiss and kick it up.
So, looking at the resolution. Think everybody can see that.
Is that all of the videos?
Yeah, that's kind of it. How long do I have to just speak briefly? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay, so we're saying, Mr. Mann violated, OCRP bylaw 7 echo. He's not expected to publicly support candidates during contested primary elections and by reverse inference. The chairman shall not publicly oppose candidates during contested primary elections. So contrary to that bylaw, acting as OCRP chairman and speaking with the OCDP chairman, on at least 2 occasions, he said the intent was that the OCRP work with the OCDP to contest the current incumbent conservative Republican county councilman's re-elections by working together during the primary elections in June 2024. Y'all can read the rest of the resolution for yourself. That's all I think we need to say about that. Any questions on that?
Was there a contested primary at that time?
There is a contested primary right now?
At that time?
No, at that time.
Yes. People are already.
At that time?
At that time. Julie Davis had announced, several people had announced, it was contested.
Speaking against the resolution.
Randy Martin from Long Creek, I agree with Terry's question. The primary starts March the 16th, and that bylaw says you're a contested primary. So if we're going to change the dates of the primary, we can't stop Ms. McPhail or Ms. Lancaster from going ahead and putting up signs. But there's rules and laws against that. So the primary has specific dates, period. And they start March 16th at 4:30 when the sign is posted.
Mr. Moore?
All right, look more, Mary. I would like to contest that because the little clip does not show, that was my show that he was on, so I can talk a little bit sure about it. The little clip that they showed did not show the word Jim Mann said that there is 2 conservatives on council and the other 3 are Dixiecrats. So what's going on is that he's saying that the 2 are conservative, are trying to conserve the county and trying to conserve things about it, and the other 3 are being ran by special interests, and that he wanted to see both sides try to stop the special interests from running. So if you'll ignore the spin that you try to hear Nick put on it.
video to play?
I hope my thing's recording right now. Everybody can watch it. It's Vantage Point. Vantage Point is there. So, what's that?
Thank you.
So the point is, since it's my minute, he took the context, so everybody should know that, and he should be able to show that he did not do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Music?
I think the right to speak against this in the middle of an election year, and we are tearing ourselves apart over this. Were mistakes made on both sides? Absolutely. Both in this resolution and the next one. There were mistakes made. We've got to find a way to get together. I probably agree with 90% of what the road 10% I don't. Let's get together on the 90%. I am really afraid that what's going to happen is the Democratic convention, they know that Biden's only polling at 33%. They're going to put Michelle Obama up, and look out.
I'd like to put you on speak against.
Go ahead, Mr. Music.
If that happens, and the reason why I think that's going to happen is that they can't let Joe Biden go up the way he's going right now. They can't use the vice president. She told us even worse. And they can't go to Newsom because you'd be bypassing a woman of color for a white male. You think the Democrats are going to do that? It's going to be Michelle Obama with her husband being the one that's really running it, which he's pretty much doing now. So you'll end up with 4 or 5 Obama administrations. We got to quit doing this. Let's work on getting people to the polls, Republicans to the polls, giving rise, stuff like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Music. Mr. Burrell?
Folks, I got an analogy. The Republican Party, kind of like a church. You got the congregation, which is the people in the county. You got the deacon committee, which is us, right here. You got the preacher, which is the chairman, all right? If the deacon committee cannot get together, the church will fail, okay? If this EC committee, if we can't come together, we're not gonna get 100%. But this stuff of us having a meeting, and you know, like if you're a deacon at First Baptist in Walhalla and you go to the Second Baptist in Seneca, and you try to be a deacon down there, children, you go down there and you belittle, you low rate the First Baptist in Walhalla, it won't work. That's what's happening in this thing, and we all know it. There's 8 or 10 of us against the OCRP platform, and, you know, we're not coming together. If we don't come together, we're going to sink. And the Democrats will be the winner.
Thank you, Mr. Burrell.
Yes.
The other side, the ones that shut the video, did they have time left? They had 1 minute left when you sat down.
So I'd like to be recognized, Mickey Haney from Salem. I agree with you. Your analogy is a very good analogy. Unfortunately, the chairman, if he was siding with the Christians, he was also siding with the devil.
Amen.
To oust conservatives. It's clear as day. Now, was he in violation of a certain rule? That's for y'all to decide. But I think it was not in the best interest of the Republican Party. I think it was wrong. I think he needs to understand that getting with the Democrat chairman and wanting to kick out Republicans that, like you said, you agree with 90% of the time, is wrong.
Amen.
You're dividing the
Here,
party.
here.
How much time is this? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Haynes.
And so they're finished. Right now, we have 20 minutes. Take out their minute, 8:05, 8:11, we still have.
Bruce?
Bruce Taylor, Westminster 1. I agree with Doug. Look, the OC, I'm very conservative. I'm not in the OCC, but I'm very conservative. I don't have to be in the OCC to be conservative. But at the same time, we don't have to agree on everything. Politics has become so personal. It don't have to be personal. It needs to be about the issues, and everything else just needs to quieten down and damper out. You know, I talked to them. I shook every one of them's hand when they came in. I don't hate them. I don't stand against them. I want everybody to unify. Jill even said, look, what I've done was in bad taste, it was wrong, whatever. I mean, I get that. But everybody in this room has said something at some point in their life and said, oh, I really just screwed up. You know what I'm saying? And he admitted that up here. I'm sorry.
Thank you,
That's all
Bruce.
I got to say. Thank you.
Ms. McPhail?
That's my only point, and I'll say it in 30 seconds. He admitted he was wrong, and I don't believe there's anybody in this room who has not said something they regretted. So let he who is without guilt toss the first stone.
I call the question.
We voted for 10 minutes each time. I don't think you can, we take a motion to void that. Can't call the question.
All in favor? All in,
I am speaking against. We still have time.
Yeah, we did that. Is there one more minute? Yes, he's got time.
1 minute, Mr. Wagner.
This will be quick. We're playing the Democrat game here called identity politics, guilt by association. We got the OCC. I know some people in the OCC that are good people. I also know that there's some folks in the OCC that have said things that were not wise. People in the OCRP have said things that are not wise. I'm against censures. They don't accomplish anything. All they do is stir up problems. So let's just admit when we say things that are wrong and move on.
Comments? Okay. All in favor of calling the question? Raise your hand, please. Please keep them up. Kathy, what did you get? Okay. That was, all right.
Doing this on secret ballot, or we're gonna call it out?
We're going to
Secret ballot.
Motion was secret ballot.
Secret ballot. Okay. Kathy, Terry, thank you.
Are you gonna have any public comment?
Yes or no?
At the end of the meeting, yes, sir.
Are you gonna have any public comment?
At the end of the meeting, yes, sir. Yes means you agree and are voting for the censure. No means you are voting not to censure. Yes or no? Yes means you are voting to censure Mr. Mann. No means you are voting not to censure Mr. Mann. Order, please. Yes means you are voting to censure Mr. Mann. No means you are voting not to censure Mr. Mann. And could I please have 2 volunteers to count the votes of the ECs? Up here at the table, Mr. Haney, Mr. Tarner.
Bruce, you can't count. Go help them. Huh? You can't count. Go help them.
They're honest people.
That was a joke.
They're honest.
Yeah, please fold it in half. Hey, Charles, would you hand me that red pot there?
You look up, you straight look up.
Bucket?
The bucket. Got money in it.
Instead of a musical interlude, when you were at the door, India may or may not have asked you, but again, we pay a lot for these meetings, guys. So if you can contribute, even if it's $1, it would help. We'll pass it around and then give you guys a copy.
Please come back to order. Please come back to order. The vote was 17 not to censure, and what was the other one? 10 to censure. So the motion, the motion fails. Okay. Luke, would you going to get Mr. Mann? While we're waiting, I'm going to say this in a few minutes of time. There is a proposal of how to handle resolutions. And if y'all would take a look at these, I'd like feedback, please. And we'll bring this back up at the next meeting.
Rachel, where we at?
17, not to censure, and to censure. The motion, the resolution didn't fail, so you're ready for the next one?
Yeah. Question of restoring dignity to the OCRP. Yes, Mr. Connor?
Can't hear you.
You can't hear? No. I'll speak up.
Thank
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Tarner. Everybody hear me now? All right. Motion by Mr. Tarner to table the resolution.
Or ask them to remove the resolution.
Okay, I think it's got to be one or the other.
Table.
Table the resolution. Do we have a second to table the resolution? The fourth resolution, question of restoring dignity to the OCRP. I heard that. Mr. Haney, thank you. Do we have a second? All right, any discussion? Mr. Wagner?
I don't see any point in tabling this. We just had the discussion. Censuring doesn't accomplish anything, whether we're censuring one group or another group. Let's just dump the whole thing.
Okay. Okay, so that was the discussion for tabling. Do I have a discussion or argument against? Opposed? You were opposed to tabling?
Yeah, I want to dealt with.
Sorry. All right, so do I already have one for tabling? All right.
I'd like to speak about.
Mr. Bond?
Yeah, I wrote the thing. 55 articles in the last 2 years have been in the paper about how we can't get along in the party. I started a radio show because the OCC called me out and said I didn't make enough videos. You guys have disparaged most of the party. And it's time for it to be dealt with and done and over so we can get through this. You guys mouth stuff off, I'll take LTO in a different direction. We'll talk about flower gardening. Chris Rowan likes flowers, right? We'll be done with flower order. And you can table that.
Point of order not well received. He still has time. You go.
I understand this has nothing to do with taking.
Mr. Haney, point of order is not well received. Thank you. All right. So, any other points of discussion?
Are you
Yes,
for
sir.
or against?
We have four. We have against.
I'm against. I was against it.
Against the four. Okay, we have one of the others. So, all right. Do I have anybody else who'd like to enter the discussion?
So I'm actually, I'm actually against tabling it. It needs to be dealt with tonight, whether it's draw or vote it down.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. So we have one against tabling it. Do we have one for continuing? All right, I'd like to have someone call the question, so we get this vote and move on. Let's call the question. Second. All in favor of continuing with the discussion? Raise your hand, please.
Hold on.
Wait.
We're not tabling, right?
You gotta vote on call the question.
Right. Okay, sorry. Vote on calling the question. That Bergman was strong. Vote on calling the question. Okay, that was unanimous. Okay, so to call the question on whether or not to table or not. Correct, Mr. Haney? Okay. All right, so to continue forward and not table, is that the vote or is it to table? That's the vote. The motion was to table. Okay, so all in favor of tabling this tonight until some other time in the future, please raise your hand if you want to table it. One, Mr. Turner. Anybody else? Okay, I would say all in favor of continue. Mr. Soper.
I thought you were ready to vote.
All in favor of continuing the discussion, raise your hand. Okay, I think that's pretty well summed up. So we're going to continue with the discussion on this resolution, restoring dignity to OCRP. All right, do I have openings?
Can there be a call to question now? I think the rules say that we're second.
I think you would have to have 2/3 vote. Is that correct, Mr. Raines? To call the question now?
I'll call the question. I don't want to discuss.
Ms. Love is made a motion to call the question. All right, do I have a second? I have a second from Tony and Shiloh. All right. Any discussion on calling the question without discussion? Voting is vote, that's to vote without discussion. All right, no discussion. We're going to vote on Ms. Love's motion. So the motion is to call the question without discussion. Please raise your hand if you're for calling the question without discussion. Please raise your hand. I see 1, 2, 3, 3. All right, all opposed calling the question without discussion. Okay, I think that motion failed. All right. Okay, so we're continuing on now. All right, do I have someone who'd like to start the discussion on this resolution? Mr. Stanford.
Yes. I'm against this for the same reason I was against the earlier one. We need to quit the dickering and the infighting. People are watching this on the outside, and they're saying, I don't want to have anything to do with getting involved with the Republican Party or putting money in the Republican Party. They can't get along with each other. We need to end this stuff now. No, we can't get along 100%, but let's move forward. It's an election year. We've got many things ahead of us, bigger fish to fry. Let's get over this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Music. All right, so that was an argument against this resolution. We have an argument for this resolution. Mr. Vaughn?
So, like I said, I wrote the resolution to create an impasse in time so that we can come together and discuss a way forward. I think tabling the motion is the best way. The ones of us who are against most of the things that the party does, they have a chance to talk to themselves about how they want to be functioning parts of this, so that we don't spend hours every meeting arguing over the dumbest stuff. It is time to move forward. You can either be with us or against us, but choose. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. That's an argument for. That an argument against. Mr. Nix, well,
Okay, so the biggest divide in this room is June primary. We got a group of conservatives, Republicans, that we have a set of values. We got another group of Republicans, maybe conservatives, maybe not, I don't know, that have a set of values. And we disagree on some policy things. And I'm fine with arguing policy, but there's people that have made it personal. Let's Talk Oklahoma's made it personal. Vantage Point's made it personal. Board of the Story's made it personal. If you go on those websites, it's personal. It's much more personal than the OCC website. And I invite anybody to look at it. So it's not, you can't just point fingers and say it's one of you. It's everybody. But as long as primaries are contested, and we've got a majority Republican in this county, there's going to be disagreements on which Republican goes to office.
time's up. All right, I'm having a very difficult time being neutral, but I'm going to remain neutral. What's the next argument? Jennifer?
Well, one, yes, there is a total separation here with OCC and the OCRP. You're saying it's about personal. We got a whole bunch of things here. We are calling all these people out, calling them saying they're for abortion. You call them Democrats, Marxists, communists, because we're not OCC. Nobody can just come and look at your page. Your page is private. You have to answer all the questions to get in there. To sit there and say that we're the ones that are doing you. I want. What do you want? Because we're all just trying to to sit here and, you know, be a part of the Republican Party and do it, but because we're not OCC, there's a problem. And that is completely a lie, saying that you don't get personal.
That's exactly true, because you got personal opinion.
All right, so that's all Mr. Wagner, that's all Mr. Wagner first.
This is real quick, I'll just repeat what I said.
Everybody hold a discussion except for the gentleman recognized by the chair, please.
Just repeat what I said before. This is broad brush. You can't paint the OCC as all the same. There are good people in the OCC, there's some people that have overstepped their bounds. You can say the same about any group. So just broad brush doesn't work.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. Sam?
Yeah. Personally, a lot of people know, my wife and I was in a serious motorcycle accident a year and a half ago. If anything, I have a reason to be upset with the OCC. I'm not gonna name the person's name, but I know for a fact he's in the OCC. He drug my wife's name and my name through the mud when my wife was on life support for 6 days. But the good book tells me I have to forget and move on. Enough is a freaking enough. If you have something to say, is there anybody in the OCC, and I want to publicly say this, is there anybody in the OCC that was willing to sit down, even with me, or somebody that you can get along with, and have an honest conversation, and let's bury this hatchet? We can disagree on policy, but it does not have to be personal. I'm tired of the hatred. If you call yourself a Christian and you quote scripture on the Facebook, be who you say you are. Thank you for your time. God bless all. And I would like to know if anybody would like to sit down and have an open conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Appreciate it.
All right, Jason. Go out there and we'll-
All right, I need to recognize Mr. Haney first before letting you have hand up. Mr. Haney?
So what we're discussing is far deeper than one group of individuals disagreeing with another. What we're talking about here is censoring freedom of speech. What we're talking about.
One person is recognized by this chair. Are we clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Continue, Mr. Haney.
What we're talking about is actually kicking out parties whose beliefs, or members of parties whose beliefs are mostly in line with the others, just because of heated arguments, disagreements. The whole thing about the Republican Party is the rule of law. I cannot find where that law was broken. But once we start separating ourselves out because we disagree, you're going to end up with just one person in the room. So you better think about that.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. I believe Mr. Music was next.
I'd like to call the question.
All right, Mr. Music is like to call the question. Do I have a
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay. Any discussion on calling the question?
Yes,
Mr. Wagner?
this is too important to end discussion.
Okay. Mr. Wagner says it's too important to end discussion. Any argument for calling the question?
Point of order, or whatever. It's 8:30, after 8:30, do we not get charged extra money? In this room?
We may get charged extra money.
All right, but
Okay.
How much is it?
nothing on you. I'm just making a point here to everybody. I think we call the question to save money unless we're willing to pitch in some money to keep this meeting going.
Okay, so that's an argument. That's an argument for calling the question. $25 an hour. That's an argument to call the question. Am I right, David? $25 an hour. All right, I have an argument.
Plus, we have security that we've got to cover as well.
Plus security. All right. So, all right, do I have an argument against calling the question? Or does somebody want to call the question? I'm calling the question, and we'll put it to a vote.
You said against calling the question?
Oh, yeah, we're
Yeah, I'm against calling the question. I think this topic needs to be settled in January of 2024 so that we can move into this contested election cycle as one party and not a party with a special interest inside of it.
I'm just gonna make a comment as a current candidate and a person who does not, I vow stay off Facebook, I would stay out of all social media stuff, other than saying what my policy was on my Facebook page. And I hope everybody will take this with some sense of humor. But I was driving down to see my mother, who suffers from dementia, on Tuesday, and I got a telephone call from someone that I haven't spoken to in several years, and he said, "Gee, Gwen, congratulations for running for council. I had no idea until I saw all the hate mail against you." I didn't even know about the hate mail because I'm simply refusing to read any of that. It isn't part of this. It shouldn't be part of this. I've also had people call and apologize to me for what I'm being put through on social media. The joy of that is I have no idea what I'm being put through. I don't care, because I'm in this for the best interest of the county. And so I'm going to fight on my policies. I'm not going to call anybody names. I'm not going to be derogatory towards anybody's family. And I would like to think that the whole party, the entire group, I don't care what letters are in front of your name, that you can all agree to do that from now until June, and then even more strongly from now till November.
Thank you, Ms. McPhail.
Can I just say something?
Ms. Williams,
I'm sorry?
Ms. Williams, yes, you're recognized by the sheriff.
I just would like it to be one party, because I feel like right now there's two parties sitting in this room. And I dread coming to the meetings, because all we do is bicker, and it's them against us or us against them, instead of us being unified and working, like people have said, towards the elections and the future. We should come in here and deal with business instead of picking on people. And the OCC, whoever was speaking, said they're the conservatives, and maybe some of us are. I thought all of us were conservatives.
Thank you. Yes. Mr. Riedenacker, South Union?
Yes, from South Union. Yeah, what I want to point out is the person who wrote this resolution in his social media has publicly stated that his objective is to get the OCC thrown out of the party. And what caught my eye was the fifth paragraph where it says, whereas the need for impediment of person collective violence during party meetings and online by OCD leaders and members that forced the party to spend thousands of dollars on security. Not only do our members not feel safe at the meetings, these actions have beneath the dignity of the Republican Party. Well, the only time that I know of where one of the constables has had to intervene was when somebody from the so-called mainstream uniparty tried to get confrontational with me. And it just so happens this person is the person of the other people that wrote this resolution. So I see hypocrisy. They're talking about being afraid of the OCC when the only incident has been directed to me.
Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Riedenacker. Yes, Gwen?
I'm just gonna respond to everyone personally. There is a perfect example of the way you phrase things that is divisive. And what I would like to say from this point forward is, okay, yesterday is yesterday, last week is last week. Let us agree tonight not to call anybody a so-called conservative or a sort of Republican or whatever all of the other innuendo and term is. And let's work together for the benefit of the county and the defeat of the Democrats in November. That's really where we are, I think.
More in the back is that.
All right, Luke Mornery, two things. Number one.
Luke, speak up, please.
Number one, what we would like to see stop, if everybody is gonna try to unify for real, is that when you ask a policy question on social media, you do not get a write-up about your living conditions, your money you make, and your things like that, which David Nix directly did, and we have screenshots of it printed off here if anybody contests it and would like to see it. Number two, we would not like to see any group taking money away from the OCRP by putting up a tent next to them and telling them that we're the Democrat tent to get members to come to them and to make fun and try to get them to shy away from us. If you're a Republican, you should not be doing that to other Republicans. You should not be making posts saying man's misfits, OCRP man's misfits, which we have printed off here with us. And yes, if you want to be part of the OCRP, then be part of the OCRP. If you don't, then be OCC only. But it needs to be dealt with. It's 2024. Decide.
I'm recognizing Mr. Moore. I have Mr. Adams over here.
I put conservative in the Republican. You say, don't call anybody conservative.
No, I said don't call anybody a sports loser.
Tony, please address it to the chair, please. Not.
Conservative for Republican.
Thank you. Ms. Lancaster?
I just want to read something that I started researching about name change, and I totally get where everybody's coming from, but I wanted to read this to y'all. Name change is a new identity and a new alliance. Do you know why the woman takes her husband's last name? He now has decided he is going to govern over his wife. He's responsible for her well-being and her success. When they renamed themselves, they were declaring their rebellion from the Republican Party. They were declaring their independence from this party. They do not want to be defined or confined by our political relationship, our rules, and our regulations. They want a party they can run, they can own, and they can declare. With their new desires.
Time, Ms. Lancaster,
and new
time.
directions.
Mr. Adams, this will be your last time to speak on this discussion. Second.
Speaking of Mr. Moore,
Address the chair.
did you, Mr. Okay, did you say that the OCC 10 at the Oktoberfest portrayed ourselves as Democrats?
No, Mr. Adams, that is not what was said.
What did you say?
I think what was said was that at Oktoberfest, we had people come up to us and said that the OCC tent was calling us Democrats.
We never did.
That's what was said.
Sorry, we never did.
Well, Raul, you weren't there the whole time. Thank you.
Neither were you.
Neither are you.
I think you misunderstood
Hold-
what he said.
So here, am I recognized?
Yes, Randy.
Mr. Chair, there is a social media post that screenshots that show that an OCC vice president and board of directors member called the Republican tent the Democrat tent. He also said he personally doesn't care what silly rules the OCRP added to their club. He will still do what he wants, and he'll rub it in our faces so we can't take it anymore. So here's the thing. We gotta learn to get along. I absolutely love bantering with you guys. I absolutely love it. But I'm willing to stop if you guys are willing to stop researching my entire life, putting it on social media inaccurately. Mr. Nix and this group over here have tried to destroy my business, tried to destroy me personally. You guys all saw it over the child support issue. I got a $4,000 refund. I wasn't behind. I've never been behind.
Time to yield. Mr. Clement in the back, I recognize you.
All right, I wasn't going to bring this up, but I am now. Mr. Moore is a nasty, nasty man. He came out, and there's several times that people, Perry, has attacked his wife, and this was before his wife started saying anything, and I backed Harry down, and we don't talk about wives. The other day, Mr. Moore came out on Facebook and tried to say that my wife tried to buy him a drink at the bar, which my wife doesn't even drink, doesn't go to bars, and tried to take him home to sleep with. This is on social media that he put this out. This guy is a dirty man. This is what we're having to deal with. That is the reason why we attacked him the way that they did. And I will not stop the attacks on him until he apologizes for what he did.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, I recognize, Chair recognizes Ms. Moore. Please speak up,
There's two
Jennifer.
sides to that story, because I did explain what it was. Your wife got on there, who I've never even met, I don't know what it was.
That way.
Just
Talking about my kids, my family, never, I don't even know what she looks like. She didn't know, that's not what she said about me. My husband said, he said it on there to prove a point, but she just goes make up anything you want, and people are gonna believe it. We have been making each other, talking about where we live, call my husband uneducated and how far he went through school.
I got
just
something
wanna
to say
know what you
before
all
I
have to- What do you want?
Wait,
from
wait,
us?
it's not time for,
And I came here tonight, I got invited here tonight because I'm excited about 2024. And I came here expecting to see something positive. I have never seen anything like this in my entire life. Goodbye, folks.
all right. Hold on a minute, I'm gonna recognize Mr.
Listen, that's all,
Bruce.
that's all I'm gonna say. Everybody in this room is guilty of saying something, some point or another, I don't care who you are, if you say you're not, you're lying. Everybody has said something offensive to one side or the other. But I would ask the leadership of the OCC, Mickey, David, whoever, I don't even know who your leadership is, Don, whoever leads, Matt Durham, can we please, they have agreed to stop. Luke and LTO has said, we'll stop. Is there anybody on that side that says, hey, if y'all stop, we'll stop? Is there anybody? Right here on the record in public in front of God and everybody, is there anybody willing to say, hey, we'll try to rein in Perry, we'll try not to make any comment, y'all try, we try, and let's at least try to work on this. Is there anybody? Roel, you're the president.
I'm willing to stop it, but again, Mr. Chairman tried to, made an attempt to get rid of us.
I understand that.
You know, and you know, I was working on getting everybody unified, and you talk to a lot of people here. I've never cut anybody down. In any of my speeches, I try to be positive. I shake hands with as many people as I can. I don't care which side you're in. But for him to tell us that we don't belong.
That's not true. I'll publicly say that's not true. Everybody
You
belongs.
just saw it on the video.
Right on the video. And look, and I agree.
Hold on. We'll stop the discussion. I think that was already said and done for the last time.
Oh. But I'm willing to. Yes, I will shake hands and then eat dinner and break bread.
Okay. Ms. Myring, Chair recognizes Ms. Myring.
I make a motion to end discussion and call for a vote.
I had one more thing before.
We have a motion on the floor, seconded. We have a motion on the floor and it's seconded to end discussion.
Passed by 2/3.
All right, it has to be passed by 2/3 vote. Okay? All in favor of ending discussion? Doesn't require. Raise your hand. Gotta have 2/3 vote. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. We got 2/3 vote to end this discussion. Okay? The next is to vote on this resolution. Vote by precinct. So, just a simple raise of the hand. Is that good? Okay. So, we're going to vote first to pass this resolution. All right, the second vote is gonna be to defeat the resolution. Do not pass the resolution. This is only at the county level. All right? All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one on count, 6. 6 in favor of the resolution. All those opposed to the resolution, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Resolution fails.
We're still on new business. We've moved to new business.
We are on new business already, Josh.
Well, I mean, is there a gap right here?
We're right here at C, OCRP election support. You see where we're at?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I get between E and F time around?
You want to modify the agenda if you have something to add? Okay. Okay, so you're, with regarding to the proposed resolution process, you've already passed that out for everybody to look at? Okay. All right, I don't have a problem with that. Any objections to giving Mr. Owens some time after E? Yes. Any objections? No. Point of order? Is that what you're saying? After. Any objections?
That we move straight to that, table all other items, new business until next meeting, so we can get out of here. I gotta go to the Hagen Council.
All right, so you guys, we have a second on the floor, and you guys realize that we are not taking care of new business because of all this BS. All right, that's the chairman's perspective. All right? So we have a motion and a second to go straight to Mr. Owens' questions and then truncate the agenda and adjourn. I'm not going to allow us to adjourn because I've got something to say at the end. All right? But this executive committee down, we have public comment, which I'm sure somebody in the audience besides Tom, that stood up and said something. We probably have some public people that want to speak. I want to give them that opportunity to speak if you guys are not in objection to that. They got 1 minute just like everybody else. All right. So all in favor of skipping and going straight to Josh and tabling everything else, please raise your hand. All right, I'm going to say that's a majority. The chair recognizes that as a majority. All right, Josh, go ahead.
I got just a little bit of all of this list, and I want to roll right into the motion. I refrain from putting anything on social media that I wouldn't look somebody in the eyeballs and say. And the ballot box is a great equalizer. That's where the disputes are settled, is in the ballot box. And also, it's been a while since we met, and we've had a terrible tragedy in the county of Deputy Lucas Watts, and I'd like to make a motion that the Republican Party write a check to wherever it needs to go for $500 to the benefit of him.
Thank you, Josh. So I have a motion on the floor. I have a second. All right. I expect there's no discussion on this. Do you have a figure in mind? $500 for sure. All right, so we're going to take it as a motion on the floor in a second, and without discussion, we're going to vote on this. All in favor of cutting a check to Lucas Watts family for $500? Even the treasurer agrees. Unanimous. All right.
It's not unanimous.
Not unanimous.
Where do we stop?
We said $500, sir.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, are we gonna have a resolution to donate money to somebody every meeting?
I think.
You know, I think this does deserve discussion. Mr. Wagner's correct. We're having, I personally think that supporting as many folks as we can collectively is very important. The Republican Party is supportive of the community. But if we're having trouble keeping the lights on and we're passing the bucket to pay for the meeting, I would ask that each and every one of us come prepared to donate at every event.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Yes, David?
Okay, I want to say something. I saw a bunch of folks raise their hands here that has never contributed 1 cent to this party. Not 1 cent. Won't even buy a bottle of water back there for $2, but you raised your hands. Just keep that in mind.
And we're calls for a majority of the discussion tonight. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Soper.
My comment would be that we are charged with spending the money that our members give us in a responsible way. And I think it's probably not a good idea to tell our members that we didn't use the money to elect good Republicans. We used the money for a different reason.
Thank you, Mr. Soper. Yes, Gwen?
Can I amend Josh's motion that I would make the recommendation that all Republicans bring a few dollars next time specifically for the support of, if that's what the party wants to do. Not take it out of the Republican budget because it is sort of a political thing.
I'll second that.
We have a second.
That we, if we would like to pass the jar, pass the bucket, pass whatever we want to do specifically for.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to amend Josh's original motion. All right, any discussion on that? All right, all in favor of amending the motion? I'm sorry, I didn't see it, Ronnie.
I'd add one hour tonight.
I don't have any.
I'll give.
Well, I already put it.
Because you'll probably get more than $500.
I'll do it next
All right,
time, too.
the next time. So I would say that, at least I would hope that. Okay,
I'll table that motion as long as if y'all wanna do it next time.
all right, we'll do it next time.
That's fair.
Motion-
Make a motion to table.
I would like to add more to that. You know, it's wonderful to be benevolent, but we shouldn't be benevolent with other people's money. I read that on Facebook. They probably saved words. But the thing about it is, we all want to contribute. We all probably contribute in our own way to Mr. Watts and that awful tragedy. And there's nothing wrong with anybody that has this cause of special interest that wants to come to us and set it up here with a sign on it while we're here. 'Cause that's what we're giving people. So we should recognize that the party needs money and we want to help other people. So we set up 2 buckets and you guys can help in both directions. But it's going to be on the backs of all of us. And I agree, it shouldn't come out of party funds. It should be out of our pockets.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bond. So, call for the question.
I'll second.
Second, okay, we're gonna vote on the amended motion, right? And we're gonna table it at the same time. So, I'm gonna try and put 2 and 2 together here so we can move on. All right, so we're gonna bring money to the next meeting, and it's gonna be donated, not out of party funds. All right, it's a donation to the next meeting on February, I think, the 15th, day after Valentine's.
So we got 2 different motions on the,
Can we just make it simple enough for the parliamentary procedure and get the hell out of here?
okay, one's the table, the other's the bring money.
I don't think there's one to table, that's still out.
The motion was amended.
It was amended.
Back up and
Terry?
just make this straight up. Just say, are we cool with bringing money next month for Corporal Watts and having a separate bucket to contribute to the park? All in favor, let's just do this.
All right, everybody vote all in favor for bringing money specifically for Corporal Watts. All right, I think that motion passed. Please, everybody follow through with that who raised your hand. Okay. Everything else, we have some public comment. So the public is here, we've heard one already. Anybody else have something to say? You're welcome to 1 minute on the floor. Anyone? Okay. Here, none, I've got
Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry. No?
Yeah, I think in Noah, President of South Union, I think in the whole aspect of trying to unify this thing,
I'll kind of tell you where I'm standing. We voted on the resolution since our chairman, at our precinct last Saturday. I believe with the content that came out, it needed to come to the floor. I think we got it right, but I still believe it needed to come to the floor. It needed to be discussed, and I think we got it right. I think that's a win for everybody. And I think if we pass another resolution tonight, I think that's a win. We need to get this together for each other. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Ms. Bond?
I got one last comment about the agenda items that we skipped. In previous council meetings, it's been stated by county council members that our elections office has failed federal inspections. They got unfavorable results from the SEC and Homeland Security on the election process and physical security of how they do it. We didn't discuss it tonight, but if a resolution is needed to tell our county council, and Don, you're sitting here, it's a responsibility of Americans to vote. But it is a responsibility of our local government to provide a safe and secure and accurate election system. You guys have got to do something before this election cycle. And we need to tell them that.
Thank you, Mr. All right. Yes.
I just want to say that the only way to do that is paper ballots one day, no voting system, no machine. That's what the resolution needs to be.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Thank you, Ms. Moore. Okay, so I have just some closing remarks. I would like personally, as the chairman of this party, to see a truce to be called. I would like it to be on both sides. I think some people here have extended the olive branch to do that. The question is that everybody? And it's going to come out soon whether or not that is everybody or not. Okay? Everybody has their convictions. We're all Republicans and we're all proud. We all stand by the creed. I personally believe that freedom of speech in this country has been dragged through the mud. There is no maligning. There is no way to take anybody down for lying about you, blatantly lying about you on social media, dragging your family through the mud, your kids, and everything else. Are we going to continue to do that? Are you going to continue to do that? Am I going to do that? And the thing about it is, if somebody doesn't do it, it doesn't matter. They're fair game. Who's the coward in that instance? This is about character. This is about integrity. If you don't believe I have it, listen. We can talk anytime. My grandpa used to take care of this with my brother and I in one way. He'd put us out in the yard and he'd say, "Go at it, boys." And we go at it. If y'all want to fight, go at it. Because you're going to get my cane until I think you're done and you've had enough. I wish it was that way again. There's some people I'd like to take on. But that's not the way it is anymore in the wild, wild west. So you've got to have some self-governance.
In South Carolina, you can challenge another individual as long as they're mutual agreement.
Mickey, that's an obscure ordinance that would not ever be allowed. I already talked to Sheriff Crenshaw about that. It's an obscure ordinance. Okay. So I've got some closing remarks beyond that. I appreciate the laugh, Mickey. Some of you are aware that my youngest son has struggled with opioid use for several years. As a family, we've never condoned or excused his actions in any way, but we've taken countermeasures to direct him many times. He was on the right track, but if you've been in a similar situation, you know that sometimes recovery feels like a roller coaster ride that'll never end. We don't at all condone or excuse his actions, including those which recently have resulted in some legal consequences that he must answer for. Lady Justice should always rise above any ill treatment, and I refuse to interfere with that process. I'm sharing this personal information for two reasons. To be honest with this committee, number one, to derail, number two, any ridicule that myself or my family will be rummaged through by my critics. Did you guys hear that? I would ask for your prayers for him and our family, that the actions taken through our justice system will serve as a wake-up call for him to quit using and choose a better life for him and his family. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.